My name is Frank Cardoza, and I got out of the Navy, the regular Navy, as a petty officer second class. As we made preparations, told our loved ones that we're leaving, don't know how long it was, but deployments for the Navy had been cut down to 6 months, so it would be a short deployment. Got underway, we reached Pearl Harbor 30 days later. We spent a few days in Pearl Harbor, got to visit my family friends up there while I was there, and then we were on our way again. And we crossed into Guam, and then from Guam we went to Japan. Japan we visited Yokosuka, Sasebo, and then went down to the Philippines. Subic Bay was a big major port in 1974-75, because that's when that's where the Navy had a lot of operations coming out. Now, I'm hoping I don't get my dates mixed up. Yeah, but this was my first deployment. From there, we were assigned to. We went to the coast of Vietnam. Apparently, C-5A aircraft, which at the time the Air Force's largest cargo ship. Plane was taking off out of Saigon because we were winding down information operations in Vietnam. Had gone down because of a faulty cargo door, and so the Navy was contracted by the Air Force to go look for this cargo door. The Abenaki was one of 3 ships involved in this operation, and we had a 4th ship, which was we call the mothership, the USS Mount Hood, which is an ammo, fuel, and oiler type of ship, was our mothership, which would resupply us. We spent several weeks looking for the door, because the Abenaki also has divers. We had scuba divers and we had hard hat divers, and we were looking for that door, and we finally found the door, fished it out, and turned it over to the Air Force. Years later, I did some research because I was always curious whatever happened on that investigation, and according to what I discovered, the door had faulty locks. It had been cannibalized by the airmen to make parts for another aircraft, which was not uncommon during that period, because we all did it. We cannibalized parts from other machines to make a whole machine, and that's what happened. And the door, under pressure, gave out. The unfortunate thing is that that aircraft crashed in a rice paddy outside of Saigon, and the aircraft was carrying wounded out of Vietnam as well as orphans. Some of them survived, and you can look it up on the internet. Some of them have made a memorial to those that did not survive. So anyway, after we located the door, turned it over to the Air Force, we were assigned to the 7th Fleet, because right about that time, Saigon started to fall. The North Vietnamese did not honor their treaty. They wanted to unify the 2 Vietnams, North and South. And so as our troops started pulling out and our embassy started closing, the North Vietnamese were following shortly behind. So we took part of that evacuation as a support ship. In case any of the other ships broke down, we were there to tow them out of harm's way. And those of you that are old enough to remember, or you can look it up again on the internet, Life magazine did an article. As these helicopters were landing on the aircraft, they were so overwhelmed on these ships with helicopters that they started pushing. As soon as they were unloaded of passengers, the sailors started pushing these helicopters over the side. And it was something, because we were at a distance. You could see helicopters landing, but you didn't see them take off anymore. So we evacuated the Saigon, and we did what we had to do out there. Then we moved on. After that operation, we moved on, went up to Subic Bay, and again, because of the political turmoil in the Philippines at that time, President Marcos refused to let the boat people, as we call them, let them into Subic Bay because he didn't want any problems with the rest of the Asian neighbors. He was trying to maintain peace in his country and at the same time trying to keep the Navy in Subic Bay. So to get around that, the Abenaki was assigned at the mouth of Subic Bay, and I remember having a contingency of Marines come on board. We had a bird colonel running the Marines. He was a senior officer on board the ship, but not in charge of the ship. And we started putting Marines flying the Stars and Stripes under each of the boat people's boat. And that's how we got them into Subic Bay. We must have taken in maybe 25, 30 boats before we called it the assignment complete. Went into Subic Bay for replenishment before we were deployed to another port. All in all, we did several port visits. My visit took us to Japan and Philippines and of course Vietnam before we started heading back home. We went back to San Diego a month later.